episode of the B&E Podcast presented by Premium. Welcome to 2024. Welcome to the playoffs. Ed, good to see you. How was your holiday?
It was short, man. I had a little break from work, but it seemed like it blew fast and back to work again. But I am happy that the playoffs are here. One of my favorite times of year for football. So looking forward to these games tomorrow and Sunday. How about you, man? How you doing?
Yeah, most definitely had a good holiday as well. Two favorite times of the season is opening weekend, pretty much week one, and playoffs. That Super Wild Card, um, the entire playoffs, like you said. So yeah, it is a little depressing that we don't have Thursday night football. We won't have Monday night after this week, so
Right.
it's a lot less games. But
Yeah.
the action and the excitement of finding out who's going to win the championship and who's going to get there over the next couple of weeks is definitely makes up for the loss of the amount of teams playing.
Yeah, for sure. And this season flew the hell by, boy, I
Yeah.
tell you.
Mm-hmm.
It's like preseason, the regular season. Before you know it, it's like week 10. You blink and it's going to be the Super Bowl.
Yep. Hell yeah.
All right, let's get into this opening drive, everybody. The Patriots have promoted their linebacker coach, Gerard Mayo, as their next head coach. Good luck to you, man.
Yep.
Commanders, they're hiring 49ers assistant GM Adam Peters as their new GM. Mark Mayhew, I think, is still the GM as well. So I want to see how that plays out. I'm going to talk about that a little later, though.
Wow.
And the Ravens tight end Mark Andrew has been designated to return to practice. And I believe he has a chance to play next week, if I'm not mistaken. So, yeah, that's pretty good news. All right, let's get into these games, everybody. We're going to start with the Browns at the Texans. The first time these teams played, Joe Flacco, and Amari Cooper had themselves a game. Amari Cooper set the Browns receiving record, beating Josh Gordon, who previously held it. This game, I'm rooting for the Texans. I really like CJ Stroud, man. So I'm hoping the Texans win, but I think they got a tough task with the Browns. They are a little banged up though, so I think CJ Stroud could potentially make some noise because the Browns are going to be without their safety Grant Delpit, and Denzel Ward is questionable. I think he has a knee issue. He tweaked his knee or something earlier in the week in practice. They're also going to be without their kicker Dustin Hopkins. He's dealing with an ankle injury for the Browns, so the Browns are a little banged up. The Texans are coming in healthy, but I call the guy Joe Flacco because it's like he gets to the playoffs and this dude turns into like Joe Montana a little bit. It's kind of
Yeah.
weird. He'll flip a switch, and I honestly think the way he'll start slinging the ball. He scores some touchdowns. Our defense will rally around him. So I'm picking the Browns in this one. The odds, Vegas got the Browns favored by 2. I think they'll win by 3 to 5 points. They're going to force CJ Stroud into some tough decisions, maybe turn the ball over. But yeah, I think the Browns are going to win, but I hope the Texans win. How about you, Brandon? How do you see this one going?
Yeah, this might low key be one of the best games of the weekend, in my opinion. You talk about a stout defense with the Browns and a red hot Houston team. Pretty good offense down there that's developing for the Texans. Definitely looking forward to it. My X factors: C.J. Stroud and Myles Garrett on the other side of the ball. We all know what Myles Garrett can do. He's been doing it for several years, and then Stroud, of course, can make any throw. One of those quarterbacks that when he's out there, his team has a chance to win. I mentioned that a couple times this year, how they've been behind early in the games, like up throughout the third quarter, and then the fourth quarter, we know it, they're up and down the field scoring points. So, yeah, definitely excited for this one. These two teams, like you mentioned, they played in the regular season. Cleveland walked away 36-22 win, dominant performance. C.J. Stroud was out, if I'm not mistaken. Could be the difference in this one, hopefully. Again, I'm rooting for Houston as well. Flacco, as your boy, you call him Fluco. Uh, it's been a surprise for the Browns. I remember when they signed him, I was like, why sign him? And you still got DTR. I know he was banged
Yeah, I
up.
remember
I
texting about
think they
that.
had another quarterback, the third stringer guy. And then they were in one of those situations like us where they have all black quarterbacks, all running type style quarterbacks, and then you bring in a guy like I said, the Statue of Liberty, and his playing style is totally different. And then you see the elevation of David Njoku and a couple other guys, saying just really started balling out for them. But yeah, I think that Derek Stinling Jr. he'll have a big game. I think Nico Collins will capitalize off his. He had a monster game in Week 18 that kind of sealed it for them. Plus, obviously the Jacksonville loss helped them secure it all the way. 9 catches, 185 yards, and a touchdown. And they've been clicking on since the injury of who's it? Can't remember the young boy. Yeah, thank you, Tank Dell.
There's a couple. There's another guy who went down too.
Is it Noah Brown?
Robert Woods.
Okay, Robert
Woods with their receivers. I think he has a chance to play. I think he's coming back to practice. But I know Tank Dell. There's Noah Brown. That's the other guy who got hurt.
Came from Dallas. Yeah. So Nico Collins. He's definitely been stepping up. I mean, he was playing good when Tank Dell was still in there, but after that, a lot of people in the media was like, "Oh, who is he going to throw to now?" And they just continue to do their thing out there, especially when CJ was on the field. So yeah, I do though still have Houston winning this game by 6. I really, it's something about Houston at home. They won 10 games this year. 6 of them have been at home. I think that plays a factor to it. They haven't been to playoffs for several years now. Obviously, the last time was the Deshaun Watson era. That crowd is going to be hyped up, ready to go. They're inside. I'm pretty sure they're going to have the roof closed down there. But, give me the Houston Texans this one by 6 points. All right, looking forward to the next game on the schedule, the Dolphins and Chiefs. Apparently, it's going to be, last I checked, -3 degrees at kickoff. How do you see this one going?
I think the Chiefs should pull it out. They talking about it's going to be one of the coldest games in NFL history, potentially, saying like it's going to feel like -27 degrees. They're going to play into nighttime, so it's going to get really cold. One thing is kind of like about this game is streaming on Peacock exclusively.
Yeah,
everyone. So the game's not going to be on regular television. You got to have Peacock. So it might be those older people who watch TV.
Exactly.
They might have issues and be a little confused on how to watch a game. So that's going to be kind of frustrating, but this is the future of watching sports, in my opinion. A lot of these streaming companies are going to get real big into sports and pay to have the rights to, host the games. But back to the game itself, I got the Chiefs, man. The Dolphins are real banged up. When unfortunately Tyreek Hill's house caught on fire, you saw him in a boot, so Correct. It looks like he's a little banged up. Their cornerback, Xavier Howard, he's going to be out. They lost Bradley Chubb to an injury. They lost Phillips to an injury, both season enders, one with the Achilles for Phillips, and I believe Chubb blew his knee out, unfortunately. So I don't know, man. It's kind of like they're limping into the playoffs. It's the same sort of Chiefs, but I just think they're a little bit more healthier. Chris Jones is going to be a game wrecker, in my opinion. That Chiefs defense, I think they're going to be a little bit more ready to play in those elements than the Dolphins. I think it might take them, a half to get acclimated to that weather, and it's probably going to get even worse as the game goes along, as it gets later into the night, it's going to get colder. So I don't know. I don't know if the Dolphins are going to be able to run the ball with most of their A-chain effectively like they have been throughout the season. I think the Chiefs are going to be a little bit methodical, have those long drives, and turn this one out. I think it's going to be a close game. Vegas has Chiefs as a 4.5-point favorite. So I got them winning within a touchdown, at least 6 points. But yeah, I got the Chiefs in this one, man. How about you?
Yeah, those bone-chilling temperatures, like you said, they're making more headlines in this one rather than Tyreek Hill's return to Arrowhead. A lot of sports shows I watched this week had the guys leaning towards Kansas City because of the cold weather. Obviously, they're used to it. Miami hot, South Beach is always warm down there pretty much. But yeah, they always find something to give Kansas City an edge. I know I'm a little biased, but it is the truth. Miami, though, they got to have that mentality. Once you hit the field, it doesn't matter. If you play mistake-free football, they definitely got a chance. They've struggled against teams with winning records. But I think if, Vic Fangio, the defensive coordinator for Miami, if they can dial up some good blitzes against Mahomes and limit Kelsey, obviously that's easier said than done. That's something that the Raiders did a couple weeks ago when nobody saw that coming. I think it was Christmas Day or Christmas Eve, something like that. They won that game there. We remember the game they played in the regular season. Kansas City dominated that game. I think they got out 14 or 21 to nothing, something like that. And then Miami came back at the end. They had a chance there at the end. But it just wasn't enough. I think Tua made a mistake at the end, or they ran out of time, something like that. But yeah, I think Miami's best chance of winning this one is using their speed. I mean, that's what they're good at. Just to slow down that Chris Jones, Magnolia pass rush. Get the ball into the hands of Tyreek Hill on those short crossing routes and let him do his thing. I know Jalen Waddle, he's questionable as of it looks like he's going to be at practice tomorrow if he wasn't already. But utilize your running backs. You mentioned Mostert and A-Chain. They might not be able to run the ball very good against Kansas City, but at least, don't give up early, even if you get down. Try to limit those possessions for Patrick Mahomes and those guys there. So, yeah, I'm leaning towards Kansas City because, again, strange things happen at Arrowhead. I think that, like you said, and Miami's a little banged up as well. So, yeah, I'd love to see Miami advance. I just don't know if they'll be able to keep up with Kansas City, even though Kansas City's their offense isn't as good as it used to be.
Gotcha.
All right, everyone, before we move on, Steelers at Bills. This episode is brought to you by Premium, a CBD and wellness company. Check out their full line of CBD-infused products, which make great stocking stuffers for the upcoming holiday season. They're perfect for athletes, weekend warriors, soccer moms, and even armchair quarterbacks. They have CBD-infused honey, which is a personal favorite, as well as tinctures in mint and regular flavor. Most importantly, they are veteran and women-owned, so come get some of this sweet temptation and taste the premium difference. Use code B&E for 15% off your order. Their website is www.premium.com. That's PREHEMIUM.com. Again, PREHEMIUM.com. All right, first game on Sunday with Steelers and Browns. I think it's a 1 o'clock Eastern kickoff. Steelers at Bills, 1 o'clock Eastern kickoff, and I believe it's going to be a good amount of snow up in Buffalo. I heard on the forecast coming home earlier. Something about Mike Tomlin, y'all. I think it's like 16 straight years of finishing above 500. This year, he did it with one of the worst offenses in NFL history, definitely in Steelers history, ahead of the firing of Matt Canada. But since then, they've been going back to Steelers football, running the ball, letting old Helmet Boy, a.k.a. Mason Rudolph, be a game manager, and it's proven to be enough. He hasn't made a lot of mistakes down the stretch to put his team at jeopardy. Defensively, they forced 5 turnovers in the final 3 games, which they all were wins. Exactly how they want to play. I know it's going to be a hostile environment up there at Highmark Stadium. Those Bills fans are very into their team. Buffalo, though, is entering one of the hottest teams in the football. They've won 6 out of their last 7. Only loss was that overtime game in Philly. I'd like to see Josh Allen, though, continue to use his legs. He's definitely been using them all year long. But also get Dalton Kincaid involved. The Steelers linebacking core has been honestly a shit show all year long. I mean, they've just been rotating guys in and out of the lineup. That's one of probably their biggest weakness on defense. Hitting guys across the middle, I think, will be the keys to the Buffalo success. And then Josh Allen getting out on the edge against those linebackers as well. But I do believe the Steelers can upset the Bills. I think it'll be a tough task. But I gotta go with the Bills in this one. Even though I do believe in Mike Tomlin, those guys. I think he'll have them fired up, ready to go. Again, Helmet Boy is doing just enough. They've gotten back to getting the ball to Najee Harris. Of course, they still have Mr. Warren back there. Again, that's Steelers football. So They're definitely looking good heading into this game. So I'll give them a chance, but I'm gonna go with the Bills in this one. What about you?
Yeah, speaking of the weather, I saw a tweet that like the Bills are offering to pay $20 an hour as people come out there and bring their snow shovels to help shovel up the stadium to get it ready in
Yeah,
time for the game. I was like, God damn, y'all motherfuckers can't get a snowplow and this ain't so, but hey,
they'll be
people,
out
this economy, they can use the money. So,
there.
but yeah, back to this game though. Yeah, man. I think the Bills should win it too. I mean, Vegas got them as a 10-point favorite. But I honestly, I think it's going to be a little closer to that just because, like you said, Tomlin is going to have those guys coached up, ready to play for the Steelers. Also, looking at the injury report for the Bills, Gabe Davis and Taylor
Yes.
Rapp are both going to be out. Those are both
Yep.
pretty big pieces of the offense and defense for the Bills. But overall, I trust Josh Allen to make more plays.
Mm.
I have more playmaking ability than I do Helmet Boy, as you call him,
Yeah.
Mason Rudolph. Um, I said, or not really, but I made a noise when you mentioned Najee Harris' name just because I was just thinking about, he's doing this thing these last couple games. I think he scored a touchdown, rushed over 100 yards. I'm just thinking to myself, where the hell was all this shit during the season
Yep.
when I'm just dying on fantasy putting you in the damn game? So, you know, well, I will
Blame.
say this about Mason Rudolph. They had an audition and they put Trubisky in for a couple of games. He stunk it up. Put Mason Rudolph in, and those receivers, Pickens and Deontay Johnson, they both have benefited well. They both had some long plays. The Steelers' offense kind of went a little bit more vertical. As they're making long passes or they catching the balls and taking it 80 yards with yards after catch. For guys like George Pickens, he looks like a true number one wide receiver out there with his playmaking ability. And Deontay Johnson is no slouch either. So I think the Bills are going to have a tough task on their hands, especially with this weather. But I think they should get it done just because I think Josh Allen, as you mentioned, the Bills have been, they won 6 of the last 7, and Josh Allen's been a real major part of that. And we'll see how that defense looks without your guy, Matt Milano, and Taylor Rapp out there. There are some other injuries on the D line as well, too, I believe. But I want to see if this playoff time, Von Miller, maybe we'll hear his name a lot. But yeah, I'll take the Bills in this one too. I'm not sure they'll cover that 10-point spread that Vegas is giving them, but we'll definitely see for sure. All right, everybody, let's get over to the NFC. We got the Packers at the Cowboys. Excuse me, the Cowboys are playing at the Packers. Um, I don't know, man. I think. Wait, I'm tripping. It is Packers at the Cowboys, right? It's
It's in
Packers at the
Dallas.
Cowboys.
Yes, in
Yeah, it's
Dallas.
at Dallas. I don't know. A couple of Cowboys fans are texting me saying, we should win this game. The kind of one guy was sleeping on Jordan Love. I was like, I don't know, man. Baby, watch out for Jordan Love.
Yeah.
He texted me back, Jordan who? So we'll see how Cowboys look out there. Vegas has them favored by 7 points. I think it might be a little high scoring. The over under for this game is 50.5 points. But if I had to be a betting man, I'm leaning towards the Cowboys. I think Dak and CeeDee Lamb and that offense is kind of hitting a stride. Dak, I don't know if it's a contract year, but he's starting to play. He's been in the MVP conversation in the second half of the year with his playmaking and how he's been doing. CeeDee Lamb, you know, you saw what they did against the Commanders. We'll talk about that a little later too, the Commanders. But I think this is going to be a little close game. I wouldn't be surprised if the Packers came in there and pulled an upset. I just think their youth is kind of going to work against them. There's a guy named Jaden Reed I've been talking about a little bit. Kind of reminds me of Debo Samuel with his run after the catch ability. But I don't know. They're going to be a little bit banged up too. Their cornerback Jair Alexander, he rolled his ankle early in the week, so there's a chance he's going to play, but he's going to be questionable. He's going to be banged up, and playing against CeeDee Lamb and those boys, you're going to need to be ready 100%. I don't know if AJ Dillon is going to be ready either. He's one of the running backs for the Packers. Can't remember if he practiced or not today, but he's dealing with some injuries as well. So it's going to be tough. I like Jordan Love a little bit more now. Early in the year, I was not sold on him at all, but they played their way into the playoffs, and he was a huge reason for that. But yeah, I like the Cowboys to win this one. If they lose though, I'm gonna be looking forward to that Stephen A.
Yeah.
Smith video where he laughs. But how about you, man? How you see this game going?
Yeah, historically, the Packers have had the Cowboys' number, especially as of late. But this year is different, y'all. We all know Aaron Rodgers is no longer there. And then for the Cowboys side of things, they're 8-0 at home during the regular season. They've scored 30 or more points in each of those games, except for one, which was against the Lions on just before Christmas. Um, I'll be watching a pair of defenders in this one. Deron Bland. Um, Jordan Love has been generous with the football as of late, 11 interceptions on the season. And then we all know Deron Bland set the record for pick sixes, and then he had another interception after that. So I think he has,
Uh,
6 or 7 total interceptions on the year, something like
yeah.
that. Quay Walker, for the Packers, I'll be watching as well. First round pick of 2022. He lost his mind as a rookie, had a couple of personal fouls. We talked about that a couple times. But this year, he's only had 2.5 sacks. But guess what? They've all came in the past 3 weeks. So he's really hot right now. Not to mention 118 tackles on the season. I think both of those guys will definitely make a difference for their teams. Side note, like you said, CeeDee Lamb will likely have a monster game against Green Bay secondary. You mentioned Jair Alexander. Not only is he a little bit banged up, he also lost his mind a couple weeks ago. Had some conduct detrimental to the team. Apparently, he called um, the. I guess he went against the coin toss discussion or something like that. I only heard bits and pieces, but so yeah, the secondary is having some issues for sure. I know the Owens man is still out there. He's Simone Biles' husband.
Jonathan Owens, yeah.
Yeah, he's in for somebody. He played good against Detroit, but I haven't heard much about him since then on Thanksgiving. But I don't honestly feel like Green Bay will be able to keep up with Dallas if they're playing like they had most of the season at home. Again, they're a different team. Dallas is at home versus on the road, and they're in Jerry World this game for sure. So I am going with the Cowboys in this one. I do like Green Bay. Um, I would love to see them win, not because I don't like the Cowboys, but just because I do like the Packers. I do like Jordan Love. I want to see them be successful. I've always liked Green Bay low key. So yeah, give me the Cowboys in this one.
Gotcha. All right, everyone's gonna stick into the NFC. Got the Rams at the Lions. I think Jared Goff is going to be super motivated for this game. I think this might be the most important game of his life. I remember the first time Jared Goff played against his old team, and they pulled out the stops early, trying to do everything. I mean, I think they either kicked a field goal or scored a touchdown. They, kicked the onside kick to try to catch the Rams offside or off guard, and try to get the ball back and jump on them early. So I wouldn't be surprised if they kind of pull out those kind of stunts again. But I feel like this is going to be the most important games of Jared Goff's life. This is his Super Bowl, you could say, in my opinion. I think he's going to be real motivated. Matt Stafford coming back to his hometown. He's got a Super Bowl ring. So I kind of feel like this is going to be like, don't you guys miss me? He might come out there and toss 300 yards. Puka Nacua, they got a steal. I think it was like a 5th-round draft pick. Probably going to hear his name a lot. Cooper Kupp getting back into form. And then that running back, they got Kyron Williams. So the Rams is definitely loaded off the side of the ball. Then Aaron Donald, another first-team All-Pro. Just a stud of a guy on the defense side of the ball, especially on that defensive line. They're going to make some noise. But I'm going with the Lions, guys. I mean, I know they look kind of shaky towards the end of the season. They picked up some wins to close out the season. They played all their starters, I think, the whole game. So I think they're going to be, ready to play this game. A lot of guys rested their guys after the second half, or they didn't play it all. But the Lions played a lot of their guys to the end of the game, that last game of the season. I think that's going to be to their benefit, honestly. They're going to be ready to play. Jared Goff, please limit the mistakes. Feed that two-headed beast you got in the backfield, David Montgomery, Jahmyr Gibbs, and Amon-Ra St. Brown. Get him involved. Sam Laporta, he's questionable to play. He's got that youth on his side because that knee injury he suffered, I thought he blew his knee out, but it was only like a knee sprain. He returned to practice. I believe it was either yesterday or today. So there's a good chance he can play, and if he does play, that gives me even more confidence in my pick with the Lions. And Vegas got them as a 3-point favorite too. I think that's just because of the home field advantage. But yeah, I'm gonna go with the Lions, man. What about you, Brandon? How you see this one going?
Yeah, battle of the number one picks at quarterback, a long time
Mm.
apart from each other. I think if this game came down to who I trust more at quarterback, I'm going with Stafford in the Rams. I don't think anybody outside of their organization thought they'd be here at this point. I know we both picked them to be low in the NFC West. Them and the Cardinals we had at the bottom. I'm pretty sure you was on the same way. But the offense has led the way for the Rams this year. You mentioned Puka Nakua, the fifth round pick, and his quarterback. Expecting a big day for these wideouts, especially the fact that Detroit basically let CeeDee Lamb and Justin Jefferson do whatever the hell they wanted to over the past couple of weeks, uh, for sure. And that's been an issue for Detroit over the past couple of years. So, yeah, look out. Um, Even though LA likes to toss the ball around the yard, Sean McVay, listen closely, pass the damn ball. It's simple. You mentioned running back, but we all seen this Detroit secondary as of late. Just throw it around. Detroit defense, though, particularly Aiden Hutchinson and a pair of rookies and Jack Campbell and Brian Branch, calling on y'all to have a dominant game if y'all want a chance for your team to win. This Rams offense is really good. Then you got a great play caller to go along with it, and Sean McVay. So yeah, if like you mentioned, Sam LaPorta, if he's out there, I think he'll have a dominant game in this one, and Amon St. Brown as well. I do think it'll be a pretty good scoring game, I believe. So yeah, after all that, I do like the Rams to go into the Motor City and win. I think it'll be close early, but I believe that the Rams will pull away in the second half and head on to the divisional round of the playoffs.
Got
All right, everyone. Eagles at Bucks. They will be on Monday night, the final game of Super Wildcard weekend. Um, I think we both said the Bucks were going to be trash this year. I know I did. And then on the other side of this game, you got a team that literally backed into the playoffs. I mean, you mentioned was it Kansas City, Miami kind of back then? I think the Eagles definitely could take the cake in this one. The Eagles can be one and done in this game. Honestly, I mean, they got definitely I think more of odds of losing than winning. Bucks have been really good defensively, only giving up 19 points per game this season. And on the other hand, the Eagles, again, backing in the playoffs, they've only been good lately at the tush push. It's been bad in Philly. Jalen Hurts has taken a step back. Yeah, it's definitely been bad. But yeah, Tampa Bay with Bake and Mr. Consistent Mike Evans, I think they could put on a big show against the Philly secondary. Philly's back and has struggled all year.
yeah.
And my guys to watch in this one will be Big Jordan Davis, the rookie for the Eagles, and Big Vita Vea. I always like watching Vita Vea down there. And then Jordan Davis has started off strong. He's had a pretty solid defensive rookie season there for the Eagles. I think the one that can generate the most pressure and force the opposing quarterback into the mistakes will definitely help their team even more. But even though I don't trust Bake, seems like when I do pick the Buccaneers, they lose. I'm gonna go with the Bucks in this one. I just think the Eagles are kind of on a slide. I think they have some issues. I think that dream team type thing kind of is like starting to blow up in their face. It's definitely been some issues there for sure. So yeah, I'm gonna go with the Bucks.
Okay, you got the Bucks. I'm not too sure, man. I'm kind of still on the fence with this game. AJ Brown, he had like a players only meeting during the week, and then I'm looking at the news today, and they're talking about he's removed all Eagles related content from his Instagram, social media.
Here we go.
He's not following Jalen Hurts anymore. So yeah, I'm like, what the hell is going on? That players only meeting must have not been too good. I don't know. I don't know what to make of that. Maybe he's not happy with the team anymore. I will say this: if the Eagles do lose, they might be looking for a new head coach. Nick Sirianni might be on the hot seat right now, and if they lose this game, the damn stove might explode. So we'll definitely see how that plays out if the Eagles lose. But back to this game though, I feel like the Eagles will do enough to win. I really like Mike Evans. Chris Godwin is really good too. Rashad White, as of lately, has been playing really well. But I don't know. I feel like the Eagles are gonna, luck themselves into this game. I feel like they might be able to turn Baker Mayfield over a couple of times. Like you said, Jordan Davis, the D line. I think they're gonna have to step up. Like you said, that Eagles secondary lately kind of been, not holding their own. So Jordan Davis, I think he's probably going to run a defensive rookie of the year. So he might have to have a huge game for the Eagles to win this. But I think the Eagles should win this game, man. If they don't win this game, it might get super ugly in Philly. They need to sneak their head of security, I forgot the dude's name, back on the field and give them some more luck in this game too. Do whatever they need to do to win this one.
Yeah.
For real.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. We're going to get into this coaching carousel, as we like to call it. Brandon, man, what did you think of all these coaching moves that have happened so far?
Yeah, I guess we'll go team by team if you want to. I'm going to start with the Atlanta Falcons. I believe this firing was long overdue. I've been talking about this for quite some time. I made it very clear heading into the season that Arthur Smith and Desmond Ridder were playing and coaching for their jobs. Honestly, Smith was 21-30 in 3 seasons in Atlanta. I honestly only believe he got that job there because of Derrick Henry. He was the Titans offensive coordinator. I know they had some ties to Eric Bieniemy before week 18 games even took off. I heard that he was a candidate to take over. And again, they hadn't even fired the coach at that time. I don't think Eric Bieniemy is going to get a job this year just because the Washington offense started good, but then it went bad. And then he was good with Kansas City for all those years. He didn't get a job then. So I just don't see it panning out. At the worst, maybe a promotion in D.C. But Atlanta, I don't know where they would go. Maybe a Mike Vrabel. Do they want to bring a back-to-back Tennessee person in? Even though he's, I think, a lot better than Arthur Smith. So, yeah, good luck to Arthur Smith, though. I mean, I think he should go back to being a coordinator. I think some guys are definitely better as coordinators than they are coaches, and I think he's one of those people. But again, Derrick Henry, he can thank him for 3 years of head coaching pay. What about you? What do you think about the Falcons situation?
I'm more concerned with what they're going to do at quarterback. I don't know Desmond. Well, I don't think Desmond Ridder is a guy. I feel like they feel the same way. So are they going to try to trade up in the draft to get one of these top prospects at quarterback or what? But as far as the coaching, I mean, I kind of feel bad for the guy because Desmond Ridder stunk it up for the most part. They had Bijan Robinson there. He looks like he's going to be really good. He might put up some work done type numbers in his career maybe. Kyle Pitts, it looked like he was playing. He tweeted or he posted something about like he had a MCL PCL surgery in the off season or something. So I think he was playing off of that. I think he was playing injured most of the year, and it affected him a lot. But the quarterback play just wasn't great at all. And Arthur Smith was I don't want to say a victim of that because he certainly had his shortcomings as well. But that quarterback position definitely is a question mark for them in the future. So yeah, good luck to the Falcons.
Yeah. Carolina Panthers. What a shit show of an organization lately. Yeah. I mean, just being real, yo. You had Matt Rule from 2020 to 2022. He was fired during the season. Promote Steve Wilkes, the interim head coach. After that, he should have got the position. We both agreed on that because they played harder for him. He ends up in San Francisco as a defense coordinator, and then they hire Frank Wright. Team struggles out the gate. I think they was the last team to win a game this season, and he gets the boot as well. I believe it's been 5 coaches, including Steve Wilkes, under the Tapper ownership since they've taken over from the Richardson regime. And not only that, you have Tapper throwing drinks on fans
Right.
in stadiums. Okay, and you're supposed to be the damn owner. But if I'm a Panthers fan, I'd want D'Angelo Hall or Steve Smith Sr. to get the job. Steve Smith Sr., he doesn't have coaching experience at the NFL level, but he's a no nonsense guy and he knows the game of football very well. D'Angelo Hall was a defensive backs coach. I think they let him go, so they probably wouldn't bring him back. I can't remember if they let him go or not with that whole Frank Reich firing. But if I'm a fan, that's who I want as far as Carolina Panthers. I think they need somebody. Um, need somebody again that's going to come in there and take no nonsense, but at the same time, you need somebody, a good offensive coordinator. If you get a defensive guy coming in as a coach, because that year 1 to year 2 for Bryce Young, I think that's always most important for a rookie quarterback heading into their sophomore years to have a good offensive coordinator. If not, have the same offensive coordinator from the year before. That's usually where they take the biggest step back if they lose their coordinator. You look at Mac Jones; he had a pretty good rookie season. Josh McDaniels goes out to Vegas on his own. Of course, he left the organization to get a head coaching job. Mac Jones went to trash after that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just a quick example. So yeah, I'd like to see D'Angelo Hall or Steve Smith Sr. get this job. How do you feel about the Panthers?
Just real quick on the David Tepper throwing a drink on a fan. If that was me, if I was a fan, that drink would have been like acid. I'm trying to get
Yep.
half of the Panthers franchise or something like that happened to these boys. I'd have
Hell
passed
yeah.
out. I'd have been in a medically induced coma. Everything possible.
Yep.
You drawing a thing with me. That guy. I'm trying to stretch that out to be a lottery ticket, a winning lottery ticket.
Yep.
Because yeah, that was definitely crazy. But as far as the Panthers, I want to say that they had even Tepper overruled them on a quarterback choice. I want to say
Yeah.
they like Frank Reich and of the front office like C.J. Stroud more, but Tepper overruled them and wanted to go with Bryce Young.
Correct.
So far, it looks like it's a bad decision. I mean, jury's still out. It's not written in stone yet. We'll see how Bryce Young looks going forward, but they're definitely going to need to put somebody in there to study that ship. It was definitely a rocky road. You saw a little bit of flashes with Bryce Young, but he's gonna need a lot of help. They're gonna need some more receivers in there. Adam Thielen, he had a 1,000-yard season, but he's up there in age. He's long in the tooth. They had a guy Mingo out there, a rookie wide receiver, but he really didn't do too much. He showed a couple of flashes, but they're definitely gonna need some more weapons on that offensive side of the ball. They had Chuba Hubbard. I believe they brought in Miles Sanders, if I'm not mistaken, but really didn't do too much. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see. Maybe they try to do a splash, bring in Bill Belichick. I do like Steve Smith, but I don't know if Steve Smith would even want to go there. They kind of had some bad blood back in the day with Steve Smith and the Panthers. I think he wanted to retire as a Raven instead of the Panthers at one point. So I don't know. I don't know. He seems like the type of guy who don't want to deal with no nonsense with players. He might swing with somebody or something. Nah, I think he can keep his cool, but he definitely would go off on somebody. I don't know if he's got the patience, to be a head coach and deal with some of the stuff that a head coach has got to deal with. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see, who the Panthers pick, but they're definitely one of the teams who stink or at the bottom, along with the Commanders. They're that black smudge in the bottom of a bucket, the bottom of a barrel. Both of those teams are definitely at the bottom. But yeah. Whatever coaches out there. Oh, I want to talk about the Raiders real quick. I didn't put that in the ticker, but if they don't hire Antonio Pierce as a head coach, I wouldn't be surprised. I think it would be typical of Mark Davis, but it would be a damn shame. That's all I got to say about that. Y'all better hire Antonio Pierce out. Max Crosby, I think he tweeted something out like, is AP got to be the next coach. I think he's got all the players on their side, so come on, Mark Davis. Don't be an idiot. Don't do the same thing twice. Just hire him. Yeah, what you got, man?
Yeah, real quick, back to that Steve Smith thing. I think you were right about they had ugly ending to the time when he was a player and, he ended up in Baltimore. Mm-hmm. But I think they've since made up because I know he was doing preseason on their radio broadcast team.
Okay.
Know if he does a regular season or not, but he has been at the headquarters or whatever more often over the past couple of years than he was before.
Gotcha.
Turning the page to the Raiders, I agree. Mark Davis, listen closely. Hire Antonio Pierce, as Ed said. Antonio Pierce, former Giant linebacker. I love him, but he's crazy enough to want to coach the Raiders, Mr. Davis. So go ahead and get the man the job, okay? I mean, you check the marks on the Rooney Rule by hiring him and interviewing him, obviously. Team started playing better once he took over, playing harder as well. He's another young, great football mind. And plus, they beat the Chiefs. I mean, when's the last time we remember that happening? I mean, I know the Chiefs took a couple of, losses they shouldn't have had, and that, I think, was one of them. But needless to say, Vegas got the win under Antonio Pierce with them. But, yeah, he definitely would have to hire a very good offensive coordinator if he got that job to help either Aiden O'Connell or whoever's going to be the quarterback of the future there for them. So, yeah, I hope that Antonio Pierce, and that would be awesome to see Gerard Mayo get the job, and which he did, and then Antonio Pierce on top of DeMeco Ryans from last year, and the turnaround that we saw out of the Texans this year. I mean, legit, not only in the playoffs, they're not a wild card team. They won the AFC South, y'all. So, yeah.
Copycat league. So, come on. Copycat it.
Yep. All right, let's talk about the Chargers. You got them on your mind. We know Brandon Staley was fired. I know Chargers fans, they're happy. Their defense had regressed over the past year. He kept going for it on fourth down in their own territory. And sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. But I know that has to be frustrating as a fan because John Harbaugh did that a couple times. I think they need someone like Brian Flores, a proven winner. He works well with both sides of the ball. And if I'm their GM, I want to find a way to keep Austin Eckler. He basically said he didn't want to be with the organization heading into the year, but this guy's a playmaker. And, of course, Keenan Allen, you want to keep him around. I'm not sure what his contract situation is. I personally picked Quentin Johnson to be Offensive Rookie of the Year, and from what I understand, he didn't do much at all. So I was wrong. I thought that Keenan Allen would kind of take a step back this year, and he didn't. Like, he was out there killing guys on defense, just catching everything that was coming his direction. So, yeah, I'd like to see Brian Flores end up out there. He's the Vikings defensive coordinator. What do you feel about the Chargers, the West Coast team, close to your area?
Yeah, I think this is the most attractive job for a potential head coach just because Justin Herbert. Rex Ryan already got him as a Hall of Famer. The guy has a lot of talent. Like you mentioned, all the weapons on the opposite side of the ball. Mike Williams, he blew his knee out early last year. Hopefully, when he comes back, he'll be able to go out there. So that's another weapon that they'll add back to the bunch for the Chargers. But yeah, even the decent side of the ball, I think it would be good if they had a defensive coach too, just because they have a bunch. Joey Bosa, Derwin James.
Yeah, yep.
They got some names on the defensive side of the ball, but they got torched a lot last year. I think they need to figure that out on the defensive side of the ball. I feel like their offensive side of the ball, as long as Justin Herbert is healthy, he'll give them a good shot to win just because he's a really talented quarterback. He's got an arm, and he can run too if he wants to. But yeah, I can't really think of a candidate right now out there. I do like the Flores suggestion. I just don't know if he'll get another opportunity. Yeah. You know, it's hard for those type of coaches, man, to get jobs. You get on one chance. You know, you saw what happened with the Dolphins. Tua went with Flores. He didn't play too well.
Yeah.
Bringing Mike McDaniels and Tua kind of blossoms. I think Brian Flores took a hit with that. So I would like to see him get another chance, but I don't know. He could be like one of those guys who won't get another chance for 10 to 15 years down the line.
Yeah. And I'm one of the guys that say that coaches that get fired in one place shouldn't get another chance somewhere. But Flores is different because he had a winning record.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? You were right about Tua. He didn't really play well under him, but he had a winning record down there in Miami. Miami was a pretty good team with Flores as their coach. You know, I think he kind of set up that organization for when Mike McDaniels took over as coach. And it, you know, obviously we saw what happened since then. They've been in the playoffs the last 2 years. So,
Yeah.
New England Patriots, Robert Kraft, you got it right. Great hire with Gerard Mayo. Came down so fast. It's almost like they had this in the plans. It's almost like Belichick told Robert Kraft he was, or they kind of discussed it before, because the news came down Thursday. He was leaving Thursday morning with Belichick, and then I think it was Friday morning. You know, they said that they was moving forward with Gerard Mayo. I remember watching NFL Network right after the news came down of Bill Belichick and Peter Schrager. He's a writer. I think he's a DMV guy because he covers the Ravens a lot. He basically kept repeating that he likes Mayo, but Vrabel should get the job. No, I feel like the success of D'Amico in Houston, as I mentioned earlier, he's finally changed the turn the page for black coaches, especially the younger black coaches in NFL. Like we mentioned, Antonio Pierce. If Pierce gets that job, we saw Mayo gets this job. D'Amico Ryan, the success with him, and another guy that you was mentioning that the Commanders interviewed on our staff, Anthony Weaver, former linebacker, defensive end. He's I think our D-line coach. Let's say he somehow out of nowhere gets a job either this year or next year. It's definitely starting to turn the page. I mean, because we're seeing these black quarterbacks. We saw the most black quarterbacks in week 1, remember, starting this year. And now, you know, the trend might be, okay, used to be those hot, flashy, you know, no disrespect, but the younger white guys, offensive coordinators get these jobs. And now they might be being these player coaches, you know, that can, I guess, more relate to the players. You know what I'm saying? They've been through the struggles of growing up in black neighborhoods, you know, with limited resources and stuff like that, you know, just down to the bone. Yeah. So the trend might be changing. But yeah, shout out to Robert Kraft for making that hire there. You talk about a guy that won 6 Super Bowls there in New England. A lot of people forgot he won a pair of Super Bowls with the Giants as a defensive coordinator. So you have a linebacker coach coming in behind a future first ballot Hall of Famer. I mean, you got to give some credit to Robert Kraft for making that decision. So what do you feel about this New England Patriots hire?
Honestly, I was shocked by it just because it happened so fast. And the candidate, I haven't really been following too much of the Patriots, so I wasn't aware of even who their potential candidates were. But yeah, I think it's a good move too. Like I said earlier, copycat league, the success of D'Amico Ryans, Antonio Pierce, what he's done with the Raiders when he took over. I think it's a good move. I don't want to say innovative, but you see one team do it. The success they had. You got this guy who's already in the system, knows how to culture is, and he can just keep it going forward, adding his own little twist to it. So yeah, great pickup for the Patriots, and good luck to Gerard Mayo. Following after Bill Belichick up in Boston, dealing with those Boston fans.
Yeah.
Good luck to him.
Yeah, and we keep mentioning D'Amico Ryans in Houston, but those two organizations kind of have ties to each other. A lot of people don't remember that Nick Casario is the Houston GM, and he used to be with the Patriots back in the day. So they have ties for sure. And then of course Billy O'Brien, he's now back with the Patriots. He was the Texans head coach. So again, they kind of they need to draft a quarterback though. New England must draft a quarterback. Mac Jones is not the future. Bailey Zappi is not the future either.
Mac and Cheese not the future.
Mac and Cheese is not the future. No. After year 2, when what's the name left, and then Belichick puts in a special team coordinator and a defensive coordinator calling the offensive plays, that ruined his career. In my opinion, that ruined his career. So, New England, whoever you get as a GM, whether you let Gerard Mayo do the Bill Belichick type thing and do,
I doubt that's gonna happen.
Yeah, I doubt it. But whatever happens as far as whoever's making those decisions on draft day or the scouts and all that stuff, get yourself a quarterback. I kind of thought it was going to be Jimmy G going there if Bill Belichick stuck around. I still wouldn't be surprised if he comes back. Seattle Seahawks, surprising move. Pete Carroll's basically parted ways, fired, whatever you want to say. I honestly think this might be a place where Ben Johnson, the Lions offense coordinator, and or Dan Quinn lands. I think that Jerry Jones is going to make every attempt to keep Dan Quinn in Dallas, despite the fact that they went to the playoffs. Again, they were 8-0 at home. Mike McCarthy is doing pretty good this season. I did remember seeing a quote. I think it was sometime between the end of Week 18 and last couple of days that Jerry Jones basically said he's going to evaluate each. He's still going to evaluate the coaching situation after whenever the season is over. So it's still like, okay, he might leave, and of course Dallas fans want Dan Quinn to stay there, but he came from Seattle, so he might want to go back there and go take over as coach. But yeah, Ben Johnson, though, he's done a fine job as a Detroit offensive coordinator over the past few years. Lost his top 2 running backs last year, and they didn't lose a step. He also helped Sam Laporta evolve into one of the best tight ends as a rookie. So, yeah, I think Ben Johnson or Dan Quinn could end up in Seattle. How do you see this planning out up there in the Pacific?
Yeah, this was the second shocking decision. Seahawks, Pete Carroll stepping down and going into an advisor role. I like those 2 choices you got on, especially the Detroit Lions offensive coordinator. I think that would be real nice. I got questions at quarterback. I think Geno Smith did good this year. He did a little bit better last year.
Yeah.
He kind of surprised some people coming back on the scene. I think he just took a little bit of step back. He was banged up, missed a couple games. I had to bring the other guy in. His name escapes me at the moment, but I think that's going to be a question in the future. The future at their quarterback decision for the Seahawks. But yeah, this was a surprising move. I know Pete was getting a little bit up there in age. I think he's 72 years old. So yeah, it is going to be interesting because the Seahawks they got a decent team still. DK Metcalf, he's a baller. Like Tyler Lockett a lot too. It looks like they got a nice running back in Kenneth Walker as well, and Zach Charbonnet played well too. So they got some pieces out there. But yeah, I think the Ben Johnson, he's gonna be hot. A lot of teams, I think, need a head coach, to try to get it going. But yeah, honestly, that's a really good pick, Ben Johnson. I like that choice a lot. Thought there, man. But yeah, let's talk about the Titans. You've been kind of calling it a little bit. You see you shaking your heads. I don't want to say you're happy about the decision, but you definitely know that you talking to me all year. Like, I don't know, Vrabel. I don't know. I think he's in the hot seat. I don't know. And boom, Mike Vrabel was fired. There have been some reports out there that his relationship with the owners is sour. I think he wanted to have more control, especially in the decision making of personnel in the roster. But that job, I think, is a real attractive job too. Will Levis showed some promise. Looks like he's going to be a pretty good quarterback in the future for the Titans. So, you got any candidates for the Titans who they should hire?
I do, but before I get to the candidates, I told y'all Vrabel's job. Let me just reiterate what Ed said. I told y'all Vrabel's job was on the line heading into the season. It should have been on the line. He should have been. You never want to see somebody lose a job,
right?
But change is good sometimes. I felt like he should have been let go at the end of the last season when they lost 7 straight down the stretch. You mentioned the fact that Washington lost 8 in a row. Yeah, 8 in a row this season. What happened? They let go of Ron Rivera. Titans didn't let go of Mike Vrabel. Of course, everything's not on him, but it falls on him and the quarterback. Those 2 people get the biggest blame when you don't win games. What they ended up 6-11 on the season. Okay, they had a big win against Jacksonville the final week, to keep their playoff their divisional foe out of the playoffs. So shout out to them, everybody in the Titans organization for that. I do like the Jaguars, so it was kind of painful to see that loss. But anyway, As for the candidates, um, I think this team has questions on offense and defense. So I feel like hiring a special teams coordinator, which rarely happens. We saw it with my team when we hired John Harbaugh. I think hiring someone in special teams would be the best bet at this time, and then get yourself a good offensive coordinator, kind of like the situation with the Raiders. If they get Antonio Pierce, if they move him up to coach, he would need a strong offensive coordinator. Um, the guys I'm thinking about is a guy down in Dallas for the Cowboys. They call him Bones. Um,
Okay.
Cowboys fans know about him. I think he's Jim Fossil's son. I didn't look up his name. He's always really fiery, and he's always close to Mike McCarthy on the sidelines. I think he might be the assistant head coach too. Or Rich Basacha, I think I'm saying his name right. He's the Packers special teams coach. Now, I will say this: the Green Bay special teams unit has been trash for several years now. Okay, they had some major issues 2 years ago. I'll never forget that. But he was also the Raiders interim head coach when they made the playoffs the last time. Okay, so I like Rich Basacha, something like forgive me for butchering the name, and Jim Fossil's son. Jim Fossil was the former Giants head coach back in 2000, 2001-ish when they went to the Super Bowl against the Ravens and around that 9/11 attack.
Okay.
Yeah, his son has been a special teams coordinator in Dallas for several years. I think he survived. Um, uh, he survived the cuts. I mean, the last when Jason Garrett got fired, ended up
Gotcha.
sticking around. But yeah, again, they need help on both sides of the ball. I wouldn't mind if, again, I don't like the Titans. I wouldn't mind if they made a bad coaching hire this time. I got a guy that they can they can call up in New York in Florham Park, Nathaniel Hackett.
Oh
Okay,
boy.
give him a chance. Okay, back in the AFC South, well, from the AFC East to the South was in the West. Just yeah. If they want to lose some more games, I don't mind it. But now, did you talk about the Titans?
Um, a little bit in the beginning.
Sorry.
I don't
Oh
know
yeah,
who the
you
hell
did.
they tried.
Yeah,
They got a
I
they
was so
got a lot
excited
of
I forgot.
business. But I
Okay,
want to get into you know what I want to get into. I want
moment
to
of
get to the
truth.
Commanders.
Go ahead. The floor is
Um,
yours.
it's I texted you. I kind of ran it to you about it earlier in the week, maybe last week sometime. I'm close to dropping them from my fandom. I was done with these clowns. After I talk about all the time when we played the Bears, just the pathetic performance they put up. I mean, they had guys looking
Shocked
like
a lot
Hall
of
of
them.
Famers out there. Khalil
Yeah.
Herbert turning to Walter Payton. I mean, DJ Moore was unguardable. I mean, it was just awful. We couldn't tackle nobody. It was just terrible, and it just went downhill from there, boy. I mean, we fired Jack Del Rio, JDR. He was gone. The defense got worse. We traded away Chase Young, and my other guy who's with the Bears now. And defense got even worse. We finished with the last ranked defense in the league. Teams were just pitching it to us, doing whatever the hell they wanted to us. I remember early in the year you said you need to win, play the Raiders. And if you needed to win, play the Commanders, boy. We are trash. Um, Ron Rivera, I'm happy you were able to get healthy, cancer free now. But this is definitely a long, stressful run, I believe, for you as a Commanders head coach. Just the drama you had to deal with the front office and Dan
Yeah.
Snyder and all that mess, and then having to go out there and try to coach the team that you had, man. Good luck to you in the future, whatever your future endeavors are. But back to the present, the Commanders are trying to make moves. They hired, which is a head scratcher to me, the former Warriors general manager Bob Myers as an advisor role. They also picked up Rick
Yeah.
Spielman, the past GM for the Vikings, and they got this hire now. We talked about earlier. What's my guy's name? The new Adam Peters.
Yep.
He's had some success with all the stops he's been in with the Patriots. He's been with the Niners since 2017 as well, and he's with the Broncos. All those teams he's with had pretty good runs. He's won Super Bowls with the Broncos and the Patriots, and since 2017 he's with the San Fran. And we see how they've been successful for the most part. I mean, they got to a Super Bowl, been to a couple of conference championship games as well. So he definitely looks like he's been a part of some winning organizations, and hopefully, he'll bring in a coach. You talked about it. I doubt it's going to be Eric Bieniemy, just because I remember we brought it up in the preseason or early in the season how players went to Ron talking about his coaching style and how he was, he was, I guess, too abrasive, too rough. I don't know. They asked the owner Josh Harris about it as well. Is Eric Bieniemy going to get a chance to coach the Commanders? And he was kind of beating around the bush with it. He didn't really give a concrete yes or no answer. So I honestly don't think Eric Bieniemy. He'd probably get an interview, but I'll be surprised if we bring him in. I don't know who we're going to bring in as a coach, because the offensive line is trash. The secondary is trash. The linebackers are trash. Special teams, they have their issues. The stadium's trash. We need some replacement players to come in. We need to have some tries with the fans on the field. But we stink. I mean, like I said this after like the Bears whooping, and that was early in the season. I said I'm just watching football. After that, I just watched Red Zone. It's going to continue to be like that going into the next season. I got to see how these clowns look, but I'm not a optimistic fan at this point. I know we got a new owner. We're bringing a new GM. In the past, when this type of stuff happened, we bring in a GM, we bring in a head coach. I'm all excited, like, oh yeah, we're gonna do something. I'm done. I got no hope. I'm telling you, I'm this close to being a Ravens fan. I picked them. I think I picked them before the season. I think I had Lamar as an MVP and them going to the Super Bowl. We're gonna talk about that a little later too. Our predictions. But yeah, man, the Commanders. I'm done with them. Good luck. Hopefully we make some right moves. But as of right now, my fandom with the Commanders is like a 1%. I'm close to cutting them off and not being a fan of Commanders. I really am. You got any thoughts on these clowns?
Yeah, you mentioned 3 key points that I mentioned. I know for sure heading into this season and last year as well, I believe, that the offensive line, the secondary, and your linebackers was going to be the biggest weakness for your team. And obviously Sam Howell was the most sacked quarterback. Y'all was getting torched on defense left and right. And the linebackers, I mean, no matter which way you chop it up, they were just bad. But just a couple quick points. I feel like it was easily Eric Bieniemy's job if they were to move on past Ron Rivera heading into the season. I think a lot of people felt that until around week 3. Then the offense just started going backwards. Complete 360. I know I mentioned earlier the fact that he was linked to that Atlanta job, so we'll see if he gets any interviews elsewhere. I do feel like Josh Harris and company will, for a head coach, now they hired the guy out of San Fran. They might try to pick another guy out of there. Usually when you see a team like San Fran that's been consistently good, Baltimore, Pittsburgh, even though Pittsburgh kind of, iffy, but those organizations that are typically on the winning side of things, Kansas City, another team, obviously, you try to pick people from them and hope that, the success, the winning culture can come over. I do think that because Josh Harris owns the basketball team in Philadelphia, obviously the Sixers and the New Jersey Devils, which is pretty much right there in that same area, he might go for a guy from Philly. But this year's a little bit different with them because their defensive coordinator didn't do very good. They took a step back defensively. Philly did. Their offense as well. So maybe it's a position coach that they might go after. Who knows? But we talked about earlier the fact that, you mentioned that I think they did a virtual interview with Anthony Weaver.
Yeah, I heard about that.
I think they put in a request for our defensive coordinator because obviously the rules are different with that when you got the first round bye or you're a playoff team. I really, really, really don't want to see Anthony Weaver go. I will be okay with Mike McDonald leaving, our defensive coordinator, before Anthony Weaver. And I told you because I wanted him to take over when Don Wink Martindale went to the Giants, and even whenever Mike McDonald got a job elsewhere, I wanted Weaver to step up into that role. So I would hate to see him go, but I think he might be somebody for y'all if y'all want to go in that trend, like you mentioned, the copycat league that New England and Houston have gone. So yeah, y'all definitely got a lot of holes, a lot of things to fix, and it goes years back, culture and all that stuff. So even down to the Sean Taylor tribute. You know what I'm saying? It's just been a mess. So hopefully Josh Harris and those guys get it right, and hopefully they don't lose their mind and lose their hair in the process.
Yeah.
Because it's definitely a long way to go.
For real. All right, I want to real quick get into some conference championships and even Super Bowl predictions. Who you got making it to the conference championships and then Super Bowl?
I'm going to cut it short to Chiefs and Ravens in the AFC. I just feel like you can never count out the Chiefs, despite the fact that their wide receivers drop damn near everything except for Rice. And if you want to count Kelsey as a wide receiver, those two guys are the only guys out there that seem like they know how to catch the ball. But defensively, this has been the best defensive unit that they've had pretty much under the Mahomes era. Steve Spagnuolo is pretty damn good at his job. Of course, Andy Reid, he has the experience. This team has Super Bowl experience, obviously a playoff experience. What are they on? 5 or 6 straight AFC championship games. And Kansas City it seems like even when they're not the 1 seed, they find ways to host the AFC championship. So, like, if we lose, obviously it would have to be 3 teams to lose, I think, because they're the 4th. They're the 3rd seed. So they need the top, us and Buffalo, to lose. They just seem, no matter what, it seems like they host the AFC championship. But obviously I hope the Ravens are in it. We have a really good roster this year. We're good on offense, defense, and special teams. Our coordinators are really good. Eminem, Todd Monken, and Mike McDonald, I call them. So, yeah, I think in the AFC to be Chiefs and Ravens. I do have the Ravens advancing. Again, not because I'm a Ravens fan. Again, I just think the roster is better. I think LJ really has a drive this year to win. I think he realizes this is his best chance out of all his seasons so far, talent-wise, who's around him. So, yeah, I see us advancing to the Super Bowl. And then Rams and Niners in the NFC. It might surprise some people to see the Rams in the NFC Championship game, but the offense has been pretty damn good. That rookie out there, Puka Nacua, just breaking records left and right. He's probably going to be Offensive Rookie of the Year. You still have Cooper Kupp. You have Tyler Higbee out there. The running backs you mentioned, of course, Sean McVay calling the plays. Big Aaron Donald on defense. A lot of people forgot he's damn near the best defensive player in the league, even though he got some other guys making noise this year. And then, of course, San Fran, a loaded roster. Besides the 3-game losing streak they had and the debacle against the Ravens on Christmas, you could argue that this team is the best team in football. C-Mac and Brock Purdy were MVP candidates. C-Mac is probably number 2, honestly, in my opinion, at MVP candidate now. Obviously, Brock, after that game, his stock lowered, but Big Debo Samuel, George Kittle, Fred Warner, you can go on. And I constantly think about San Fran this year, the fact that they lost Hufanga, the guy on the back end. He's reminds me so much of Troy Polamalu, and if I'm not mistaken, he's either related to him or he used to work out with him. They lost him. They're still a top-notch defense because he was making plays back there for them over the past couple of years. So, yeah, Rams and Niners, got the Niners coming out of the NFC. And Super Bowl, I think Baltimore would beat San Fran again. Again, not because I'm biased. I think we beat them in week 17. It was a pretty dominant performance. I think we found ways to get to Brock Purdy and, forced him in a number of mistakes. And I think he had himself like a Sam Darnold type game when he was with the Jets against the Patriots, where he was seeing ghosts out there. Like, he legit was throwing interceptions left and right. So Yeah, I do like 49ers and Ravens in the Super Bowl with the Ravens winning it for LJ. I think LJ is going to have a pretty good playoff run. What about you?
Yeah, we're kind of similar. I got Ravens making it all the way to the Super Bowl as well on the AFC side. Their opponent for the AFC Championship game, I'm not too sure, man. I'm leaning towards the Chiefs too, but they're just, the AFC is kind of more wide open this year. But the other guys, the Bills, they're on a hot streak. But that defense, the weapons they lost, the pieces they lost on the defensive side, gives me some reservations on them. So I guess I gotta lean towards the Chiefs as the Ravens opponent, but I do have the Ravens going to the Super Bowl. On the NFC side of the ball, it might be a little surprising. I got the Niners as well. I think they'll be one of the teams that make it to the NFC Championship. I don't know why. I just have a feeling that the Cowboys are finally going to get their act together, win a playoff game, and win another playoff game, and actually get to the NFC Championship game. I don't know why I'm thinking
Yeah.
this. Subconscious, maybe. I don't know. And I actually got them going to the Super Bowl too. I got the Ravens and the Cowboys in the Super Bowl, but I do think the Ravens will be the team on top. I just think of this year. I said it early in the year. I got Lamar as my MVP. I think with Odell. If Mark Andrews comes back, we'll see how that is. But I like Isaiah Likely. You put me onto him early when he was a rookie. He's definitely shown some flashes. He had a great one-handed catch. Who was it? Y'all played the last game of the year, or maybe the
Steelers.
second last game of
I
the
think
year?
it was the San Fran game.
Yeah, he had a great one-handed catch that I think he took that to the house too, if I'm not
Oh,
mistaken.
that was the Miami game.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's what it was.
yeah. I think he took that to the house too for a touchdown. And
Yep.
you know, Roquan Smith, I think he was named first team All Pro. That defense. Kyle Hamilton, he's had some time. Hopefully, he'll be healthy enough to play at I think he played at the All Pro level.
Oh
But
man,
hopefully, the time he has off that extra week,
yeah.
his knee will be all fine. But yeah, I got the Ravens and the Cowboys in the Super Bowl, and I think the Ravens are going to take it all this year. So definitely, I'll see what happens.
Couple quick things before we go. I did about middle of the season. I thought about the same for the Cowboys. I was like, this might be the year to actually make to the NFC Championship. I didn't think a Super Bowl, but I was like, it's just building up to that. I mean, the defense is damn good. Dan Quinn just seemed to know what to dial up, especially at home, man. Uh, and then offensively, Dak just had a complete 360. I believe he led the league in touchdowns. If not, he's definitely up there. CeeDee Lamb is damn near every week going over 100 yards. He reminds me of Justin Jefferson this season. The run game is not very good,
Yeah,
but they struggle to run the ball and stop the run. But yeah, they definitely made some improvements from last year to this year. And before I go, I gotta give a shout out to Bill Belichick, man. I know I talked about him earlier. I'm gonna miss watching Bill Belichick out there. We talked about the coaches we want to play for. He was either top of my list or definitely in that top five, man. I remember obviously the do your job thing. He kind of
right.
lowered that temper. Uh, more people know about the Patriot way. That's always around that organization. But I think my favorite moment, I can't remember who they was playing. It probably was a good 5 to 10 years ago. The defense was pitching a shutout. They was dancing around. They had the opposing team, and I think I told you about this. The opposing team was backed up inside their own 20. They was dancing around, mainly the secondary. And next thing you know, they started hitting big 20-yard chunks straight down the field and scored a touchdown, man. They showed Bill Belichick on that sideline lightning to that defense. Fucking dance around while they're fucking going down the field. Man, I would love to play for Bill Belichick, man. I do hope, though, I think he has such a good legacy in New England. Um, I hope he doesn't go somewhere where it's bad. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
I hope if he goes somewhere, something like Tom Brady, where he can win another championship or at least get to a Super Bowl. No matter what you think about Bill Belichick, because the past 3 seasons, pretty much since Brady left, it's been bad. You know what I'm saying? Everybody say, oh, it might have been Brady now. That's been a conversation for several years. Who is it more, Brady or Belichick? Brady goes to Tampa, start winning the Super Bowl. Belichick ends up 4-13 this season, and last year wasn't much better. But yeah, I'm definitely gonna miss seeing Bill Belichick out there. Pete Carroll as well. without him chewing gum. I wasn't a big Pete Carroll fan. I didn't see a lot of his Seattle games, but just those older coaches are starting to make their way out. And then real quick, college football, Nick Saban goes. I was glad to see him go. I don't watch much college football, but I don't like Alabama. Um, I don't think that they're going to take too much of a step back because they're just that powerhouse that attracts those young guys. You know what I'm saying? Something about Alabama, man. They've been good. I mean, I think he obviously had a big part of that, but I'm glad to see his ass go. I will not miss Nick Saban. No disrespect, Mr. Saban, but I won't miss you. But yeah.
Speaking of college football, go blue.
Oh yeah.
Michigan Wolverines, they won the national championship. I'm a Michigan fan, so that was good to see them win that. Salute to Michigan. And maybe the other hardball, he could be a candidate to be a potential NFL head coach again. I think he'll be. I think a lot of owners, GMs will look at him, try to call his name, see if he wants to get back to the NFL. So we'll see what happens.
How about the commentating in that game? You want to tell everybody what you said about Kirk Herbstreit?
Oh, man. I think it was a combination of me just anxious of the game, and Kirk Herbstreit was definitely pissing me off. I feel like he was being a little biased. He's a former Ohio State quarterback. I felt like he was being a biased clown. I'm not gonna lie. It seemed like every time the refs might have missed a call that Michigan did, they got him on the screen. Oh, look, they missed a hold, and they showing it that replay. Like, damn, is Washington doing anything bad, or is this Michigan that's doing all this and getting away with it? So that kind of irked me a little bit, but yeah, we won the game in the end. Go blue, so that's all that matters to me. But yeah, that was pretty fun.
Yep, definitely.
But all right, everyone, this is another episode of the B&E Podcast. Hope everyone has a good time watching all these wild card matchups out there. Stay safe out there, and like, subscribe, comment, do all that good stuff. And everyone have a good day out there. All right.
Peace.
Peace.